everyone! In this VAWLT tutorial, we are going to discuss academic integrity and plagiarism. Many students are already familiar with these ideas, which is great. However, in this video, we are going to delve deep into the details of these very important and sometimes challenging scholarly terms. So let's start at the beginning. What is academic integrity anyway? Merriam-Webster defines integrity as the quality of being honest and fair. There are two basic definitions of academic integrity that are found in the Student Conduct Codes for the University of Maine system. First, academic integrity means not lying, cheating, or stealing. And academic integrity means that one's work is the product of one's own effort and one neither receives nor gives unauthorized assistance in any assignment. Harvard University's definition of academic integrity is complex. Members of the Harvard College community commit themselves to producing academic work of integrity, that is, work that adheres to the scholarly and intellectual standards of accurate attribution of sources, appropriate collection and use of data, and transparent acknowledgement of the contribution of others to our ideas, discoveries, interpretations, and conclusions. As these definitions suggest, academic integrity is the concept that each student's work is original, produced wholly by that student, and gives proper recognition for any and all contributions, including recognition of sources. A student's work should be an honest and true representation of the research, effort, and knowledge that they put forth to accomplish it. One of the most common breaches in academic integrity is cheating, and one of the most common ways that students cheat is plagiarism. So what is plagiarism? Merriam-Webster defines plagiarism as using the words or ideas of another person as if they were your own words or ideas. There are two definitions for plagiarism that exist in the University of Maine system's student conduct codes. The submission of another's work as one's own without adequate attribution, and plagiarizing the words, ideas, or data of others by not giving proper acknowledgement of sources. Plagiarism includes failing to identify verbatim statements as quotations, and failing to give appropriate credit and citations of sources used. Harvard University's definition of plagiarism is very clear. In academic writing, it is considered plagiarism to draw any idea or any language from someone else without adequately crediting that source in your paper. It doesn't matter whether the source is a published author, another student, a website without clear authorship, a website that sells academic papers, or any other person. Taking credit for anyone else's work is stealing, and it is unacceptable in all academic situations, whether you do it intentionally or by accident. As you can see, prestigious universities take a very strong stand on acts of plagiarism. After reviewing these definitions, we can determine that there are two basic types of plagiarism: intentional and unintentional. Some students, often out of desperation, choose to knowingly commit plagiarism. This is intentional plagiarism. More often, however, a student commits plagiarism unintentionally and accidentally because they do not fully understand the scope of the definition. So, how do we know if the plagiarism is intentional or unintentional? With the help of resources found on Duke University's website, we have compiled a list of some of the most common ways that students plagiarize. Allowing or paying someone to write a paper for you, even just a part. Submitting someone else's work as your own. Taking sole credit for a group project. Buying a paper that was already written by someone else. Submitting work that you did but for a different class or project without mentioning that it was created previously. Creating citations that are invalid and or fake. And using words and or ideas that were found in a resource without proper citation. Now, some of these examples are clearly intentional plagiarism. The majority of people understand that it is wrong to pay someone to write a paper for you and then take credit for it, right? But what about some of the more abstract versions of plagiarism? For example, did you know that it is considered plagiarism to submit work that you created for a different class without acknowledging that? So that English paper that you wrote that perfectly meshes with the communications assignment that you just received can't be submitted as a new piece of work. And if you want to incorporate parts of it into your new paper, you'll need to quote and cite yourself. So how do we avoid plagiarism? Avoiding plagiarism is easy if you know how to recognize it. One of the easiest ways to recognize and scan your writing for unintentional plagiarism is to look for pieces of your writing that are not common knowledge and that were obtained from a specific source. While writing and reading your paper, be sure to ask yourself, is this information common knowledge? Are these sentences completely original and written by me? Did I obtain this opinion, idea, or thought from a resource? Have I cited each instance where a contribution from someone or something else was made? Once you start to recognize the contributions to your writing from outside sources, it becomes easier to recognize instances of potential plagiarism. The best way to ensure that you're avoiding plagiarism is to use quotes and paraphrase. So how do we know when to quote? Did you use any phrases word for word from your resource? If yes, then use quotations and an in-text citation as well as an entry in the References or Works Cited page. For example, let's say that I need to write a research paper on the life and career of Maya Angelou. I've searched the library databases to find scholarly resources that will provide me with a great foundation for my writing. After conducting my research, I am ready to start writing. Here's an example. This excerpt is from an article that was written on Maya Angelou's life. I really like the sentence that discusses the things that she has done in her life, so I decided to incorporate it into my writing as a quote. I have included a quoted version in MLA and APA to demonstrate the differences in citation style. You can see that I referenced to the author in a signal phrase and then marked my quoted phrase by using quotation marks. This method should be utilized every time that you include a phrase from a resource. Paraphrasing is a little different. Which ideas and thoughts were developed based on your resource? Any ideas that were developed, even in part, from a resource should be cited with an in-text citation and an entry in the References or Works Cited page. In this example, I really wanted to include the information that her brother was the one who gave her the name Maya. I didn't want to quote it directly though because this quote wouldn't have fit well in my writing. Instead, I included this fact without using the same wording and then cited where I learned this information from at the end of the sentence. This is known as paraphrasing. Once you understand what knowledge you gained from your research, you can begin to write, and anywhere that you include information that was obtained from your research, whether it is a quoted phrase, an idea, or an opinion, if it was based off of the research that you conducted, you must be sure that you give it a citation and quotes when applicable. Here are some questions that you can ask yourself about each source that you're including in your writing. Did I fully understand the information in this resource? What information did I learn from this resource? What information in this resource, if any, is common knowledge? Which ideas and thoughts were developed based off of this resource? Did I use any phrases word for word from this resource? Have I cited each instance where a contribution from this resource was included in my writing? Have I included a works cited or reference page that lists all of my resources? Whether you're unsure if you're plagiarizing or not, repeat to yourself, when in doubt, cite it out. For further assistance with the writing process, contact us at the Vault website and chat live or submit a help request. You can also check out other existing tutorials on our website. If you prefer to email, you can email to ucvault@maine.edu, and you can also check us out on Google+ and Twitter.